Candace Owens exposed a radical group that tried to take her out, literally. And I wish that I could say that I was exaggerating, but unfortunately, I'm not, okay? There were arrests made within this group because of some key evidence that was found. I want to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. I just think this is insane. It's one thing to get threats. It's one thing for people to talk about you, but it's another thing for someone to formulate a plan to actually take you out. Okay? This is crazy. Before we hop into this video, do me a quick favor, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate you guys. Let's hop in.
All right, you guys, now I've got to tell you the story because so many of you guys are messaging me going, what happened? And honestly, I could use your help because I'm not really sure what did happen. And many of you guys are always so concerned about my health and my safety because we go in and we talk about these deep topics. And when you really get into history and you start looking backward, you start to upset powerful structures, people that have had power for a very long time and are willing to kind of be deranged. And when it comes to defending that power, what happened on September 4th of last year in a series of events was I went on Piers Morgan to debate Rabbi Shmuley after he was calling me anti-Semitic. It went very badly for Rabbi Shmuley as Piers Morgan pulled clips like he was lying live about things that I had said that I had never said. And then Piers Morgan was able to debunk that. And on September 4th in particular, this particular part of the debate, I was making an argument that we have to recognize that there are radicals, like holding the title rabbi doesn't mean anything. And there are radicals amongst every religion, and there are radical sects that break out. And here is exactly what I said that warranted, according to this person who was running this group chat, him to try to kill me. So here is what I said to Rabbi Shmuley on September 4th of last year. One of the things that the world is recognizing and what we've always recognized is that there are radical fringe sects that break out within every single religion amongst every race. There's white supremacy, there's black supremacy, there's radical Islam, there are all of these Christ cults around the world. And I think right now it's important for people to understand that radical Judaism is also a thing. And you're watching an example of it right now on your screen. The person sitting across from me or sitting next to me, I guess, it posted on his Facebook page in 2016 a tribute to someone who he said was his mentor. That was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He said he was his mentor and his friend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rabbi Schneerson, there were some Jews who believed that he was and is the Messiah. So rejecting Christ, but believing that that rabbi was his Messiah. Now, you may remember in the news recently, there was this radicalized faction of the Lubavitch Orthodox community in Brooklyn that were digging tunnels in Brooklyn and hurling benches at police officers. Well, and by the way, this is per the Times of Israel, that faction of individuals are followers of Rabbi Schneerson. So again, you have Rabbi Shmuley who believes that that's his mentor. They believe that he was the Messiah. What is it that becomes important to understand? What did Rabbi Schneerson preach? Well, he preached Jewish supremacism, the hatred of all non-Jews. And you don't have to take my word for it, because if I said it, they would say that's anti-Semitism. You should instead take the word of the two Jewish professors who translated his work. Those authors' names were Israel Shahak and Norton Mezvinsky. And their book was entitled Jewish Fundamentalism in Israel.
Okay, so real quick. She called out a radical Jewish sect or cult, and I guess the name's Rabbi Schneerson. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but he is a cult leader and he has followers that believe that he is the Christ. And if you are a Christian, you understand the importance of the Christ. We believe Jesus is the Christ, right? Yeshua is the Christ, the Messiah. And so we do everything for the Messiah. We live life for the Messiah. We live and we die for the Messiah. And so if they believe that this other man is the Messiah, they live and die for him. And that is how you create cults, Joseph Smith, right? Like, that's how you create cults. And so she called them out. She called them out, and now their followers are attacking her. And not just online. They're trying to formulate plans, as you're about to see. She's about to give us the details. Okay, this is crazy. Let's check it out.
I then proceeded to share those quotations, which again came from authors, Israeli authors, and it caused an insane reaction in my life. Right? Pretty much days after this, YouTube completely demonetized me, and it was led by an account on X called Awesome Jew, who was telling people to mass report my YouTube channel, and we were not able to get remonetized until early this year. So it lasted for a very long time. The person took credit for that, despite us showing YouTube that all of these reports came in on that day. They hit a ton of our videos, and then they fully demonetized us. And we were able to learn that that Awesome Jew account, the person who was running it, lives in New Jersey. Okay. Then on September 10th, and this is according to the Department of Justice, there was a person who posted a video making threats against my life, saying that he was going to kill me. My husband and I were shortly thereafter contacted by the FBI. They didn't give us any details. They just said that your name has come up in an investigation. We can't tell you anymore. We're closing on this investigation. Then in October, when this individual was arrested, they still did not tell us his name. They contacted me and my husband, and they said the suspect has been apprehended. We will tell you more in the future. But, and my husband just said, is our life at risk? I mean, do we have any safety concerns? Is there more that we should know about this? And they said no. So we knew nothing. Fast forward to this year in April, my husband gets another phone call from the FBI, and they say, we're going to send you a pamphlet on what it means to be a victim and what your rights are. Still did not tell us that a man had been arrested in October 25th. They didn't tell us his name, rather, of who had been arrested and what the charges were and what the threats were to my life. We got a pamphlet in the mail. And then on May 6th, we find out that this individual pled guilty. And after he pled guilty, they finally informed me of the name of this individual, and his name is Chaim Braverman. And yes, he is connected to the Lubavitchers. So what better way to make an argument that you're not radical and insane other than trying to kill someone for saying that you're a radical, and that things have gotten out of hand, and that these radical sects do exist. This hit the news before my husband and I were ever given this person's name. And I have to tell you, what's really terrifying about this is we are asking the DOJ to share with us the other 39 individuals that were in this group chat, okay? We were told that this individual made a group on social media of like-minded people who were angry about my Piers Morgan appearance. And in this group, he began transmitting threats against me and saying that he was serious, that he was going to murder me. He showed the weapon, told the individuals that if you're not comfortable with discussing weapons at this stage, then get out of this chat. And this is a quotation from the DOJ report. He said this in his video, "You'll get what's coming to you. I've never met someone that I could effing do right now." He then had a steel bat in his hands and said that he was going to kill me with a steel bat, said that he would beat me with that he wouldn't even stop, that he would kill me until I was dead. And he quite literally said in this video, "I am threatening a death sentence against Candace Owens." And writing this in a chat, what really alarms me here is 39 other people knew about this. 39 other people were in this chat and understood that he wanted to kill me and he was serious about this. And none of them thought to reach out to me. None of them reached out to me on social media and said, "Hey, I'm in this chat and I don't like you. I disagree with you and your stance on Israel. And maybe I'm a fan of Rabbi Shmuley, but this is wrong."
I wish that I could say that this was the first time I've ever heard of something of this sort, but it's not. I mean, someone that I know that also does Christian reactions told me a similar story about another cult-like group that were showing up at people's houses, making threats, showing up to events because they supported someone who was a fraud. They supported someone who was a cult leader. And this is the kind of stuff that takes place. People have this radical support where they will do anything for a certain person or group, even if that person or group is in the wrong, even if that person or group is doing something that is evil, ungodly, and, just wrong. It's sad. It's sad. The price that a lot of people have to pay for putting out the truth is real. So I found a video of Candace and Rabbi Shmuley on Piers Morgan's show debating each other, and I just wanted to watch a couple of minutes and see exactly how the beef is started. But there's definitely beef between the two, as you can see if you look online. This is crazy. Let's check it out real quick.
Thank you, Piers, for having me, and Candace, thank you for debating me. I have spent my life bringing together the Black and Jewish communities, emphasizing that we share not only a history of shared persecution, but of spiritual promise. Today, we debate an American tragedy, a woman of unique eloquence who has abused that eloquence to become simultaneously the foremost anti-Black rhetorician in all of the United States and the foremost anti-Semite in America. The statements that Candace has made against her own community, that they cry wolf and constantly say that they're victims of racism. Her attacks on George Floyd, a man who was suffocated to death for a $20 counterfeit note saying that he was a horrible human being. A woman who went up in front of CPAC and said, "I was never a slave in America," as if that's the only form of discrimination, is what has led her community to call her not Candace, but Clandis. The first ever female Black woman who appears in her rhetoric against Blacks, calling LeBron James dumb and stupid, an icon to the Black community, as Clandis. Simultaneously, you have the Jewish community beginning to call her not Candace Owens, but Candace Ovens, because her Goebbels-style rhetoric against Jews, that Jews are nearly all pedophiles. The State of Israel will set up a Theodor Herzl, a pedophile, as a haven for pedophiles. That Judaism is a demonic, satanic cult that only protects pedophiles. And by the way, her absolute obsession with Jewish sexuality and Jewish genitalia, the first lady of France, Brigitte Macron's genitalia, is disturbing. It's one of the reasons I think she hates Sigmund Freud so much, because she's a Freudian field dream in terms of his arguments that the greater the sexual suppression and repression, the greater we see violence. But when you say that the Jews killed JFK because he was about to ostracize Israel, when you invent all of these fabrications out of whole cloth, what is the result? The result is the demonization of Jews that leads to violence.
Thank you, Piers. And I don't think I really do need to respond to the ad hominem attacks. I think actually one of the things that plausibly unites people across all religions, Muslims, Jews, Christians, is that we all recognize that Rabbi Shmuley is unhinged. He's just mentally, in my view, unwell. And I don't say that as an attack. I say that as just a reality, because I've never seen someone just make things up out of thin air that were never said, and trying to screen that as a defense of Black people. The Black people will never accept Rabbi Shmuley after Michael Jackson put him on a list of people who he felt were ruining his life.
Michael Jackson has been gone for a long time, so Rabbi Shmuley must have been around for a long time. That's crazy. I never heard of him. But, one thing I could say is Candace does a lot of work to, I would say, expose a lot of Jewish stuff. But at the same time, there's a lot of conspiracies that float around Jewish people. It's true. It's a known thing that the executives in rap culture are Jews, and that, who is giving these record deals out to certain people that will push a certain narrative. They say it's Jews. So there is some controversy for sure.
I think one of the things that the world is recognizing, and what we've always recognized, is that there are radical fringe sects that break out within every single religion, amongst every race. There's white supremacy, there's Black supremacy, there's radical Islam, there are all of these Christ cults around the world. And I think right now it's important for people to understand that radical Judaism is also a thing, and you're watching an example of it right now on your screen. The person sitting across from me, or sitting next to me, I guess, posted on his Facebook page in 2016 a tribute to someone who he said was his mentor. That was Rabbi Menachem Schneerson. He said he was his mentor and his friend. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Rabbi Schneerson, there were some Jews who believed that he was and is the Messiah. So rejecting Christ, but believing that that rabbi was his Messiah. Now, you may remember in the news recently, there was this radicalized faction of the Lubavitch Orthodox community in Brooklyn that were digging tunnels in Brooklyn and hurling benches at police officers. Well, and by the way, this is per the Times of Israel, that faction of individuals are followers of Rabbi Schneerson. So again, You have Rabbi Shmuley who believes that that's his mentor. They believed that he was the Messiah. What is it that becomes important to understand? What did Rabbi Schneerson preach? Well, he preached Jewish supremacism, the hatred of all non-Jews. And you don't have to take my word for it, because if I said it, they would say that's anti-Semitism. You should instead take the word of the two Jewish professors who translated his work. Those authors' names were Israel Shahak and Norton Mezvinsky, and their book was entitled Jewish Fundamentalism in Israel. From that book, we learned that Shmuley's mentor, Schneerson, describes the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew. And he says, quote, "Thus we do not have a case of profound change in which a person is merely on a superior level. The body of a Jewish person is of totally different quality from the body of all nations of the world." And he talks about the substance of the Jewish body versus the substance of non-Jews, saying that the inner quality, quote, is so different and so great that the body should be considered completely different species. So that is a belief. And you can go through his speeches and you will see that he continually talks about how non-Jews should be treated, and that, again, we are a different species. This is what Rabbi Shmuley believes in. We have to come to terms with the fact that there are Jewish radicals, and it's incumbent upon the Jewish community to call them out. I'm glad that you brought up my rhetoric about Black Lives Matter, the organization, and which was basically allowing Black criminals to take to the street to burn down, to loot, and to riot in the name of racism, because it shows that I'm on equal footing here, that across the board, I do not support supremacism, whether it's coming from my community or whether or not it is coming from yours. And I think the entire world is now paying attention and wondering what is going on in Israel. What is this government? Is this a radical fringe government? And many people are concluding that the answer to that question is yes.
Yeah, this is wild. This is wild. Wow. You know, yeah, that definitely spells out cult. Definitely spells out cult. That definitely spells out someone who is filled with evil to say, you know, that they are more supreme than another person because of race. We've already been through this. That's crazy, man. People believe that he was the Messiah. It's crazy. So once again, Candace Owens torches someone, and their fan base gets mad and starts to do things to Candace, or attempt to do things to Candace. Pray for Candace Owens and her protection. Pray for her protection, because there's people out here that don't like to be exposed. And when you do that, there's people that will try to do something to you. Okay? It's real. Everyone out here isn't a full shining light bulb. Some people are half dim. Some people aren't displaying any light at all. Okay. You know, if you are a Jew, or not a Jew, if you practice Judaism, you reject Christ. And so therefore you do not have the Holy Spirit living in you. It's just facts. So you can expect these people to live and inside be dark, just as someone who never heard of Jesus Christ, because that's essentially what they are. They're rejecting him. Paul spoke of it in the Bible. He said that, you know, if you are rejecting the salvation that comes from Jesus Christ, then essentially there is no other method for you to be saved. There is no other way for you to be forgiven of your sins. You're still living in your flesh, and you are still in, you have a future that is separation from God because of your rejection of Jesus Christ. So it's true. These people don't have the heart of God if they don't believe in Jesus Christ. They don't have the Holy Spirit in them. They don't have it. They're rejecting Christ. And to think that you are the Messiah, or for people to think that you are a Messiah, and if you don't shut that down, that's evil. You're playing the role of Christ now in people's lives. Can't play with God. Don't mess with God. Don't mess with God. This is crazy, man. Pray for her. Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification bell so you do not miss another video. My name is Aaron Page. I'll catch you on the next video. Until next time, I'm out.